about the fourfold mindfulness, which is okay. It is still part of the part of the 37 factors of enlightenment. So today is the third set. So we have covered the four bases of fueling powers, followed by the four right efforts. So today is the fourfold mindfulness. So fourfold mindfulness teaches the four methods of contemplation. So its essence is wondrous and subtle wisdom, and that's where I actually the contemplation is nothing new to you all, and I've also been sharing with you all the daily contemplation. So with the strength that comes from contemplating the mind with wisdom, we enable the minds to abide on the path. And obviously, the contemplation on its own is not sufficient. So we got to have all the other factors with us. So the spiritual wealth is the seed. And so the true emptiness of wondrous existence that you can realize is the ocean of fruits. And the ocean of fruits is obviously the fruits on the Buddha Dharma leading on to supreme enlightenment. So what is this fourfold mindfulness? Contemplate the body as impure. You know, it's interesting. This practice of contemplating the body as impure, I think I explained to you all once that in the some of the very strict Vajrayana practitioners, and especially to those in the Sangha community who tends to be you can say the mind get deviated because of the attraction of the body of women. So what the master does is that they get them to contemplate in front of a dead body until the body rots. And that is the practice of contemplation in somebody very strict practice. Number two is say contemplate all feelings as suffering. You see, but one can say that if I'm happy, why is it suffering? It is suffering because happiness is actually a moment between two moments of unhappiness. So therefore, even happiness in itself is suffering. So contemplate, and this is what you call worldly feelings, or the happiness of the mundane consciousness, and contemplate the mind as impermanent. It has to be impermanent because the mind dies when we die. Only the higher consciousness can evolve. So therefore, the problem, I think, is sometimes in one of Master's earlier teaching, you remember the four inverted views. And the four inverted views is about people who think the view that the impermanence as permanence. So when you have that situation, one get absorbed into, yeah, this life is permanent, and they behave that everything else is permanent. And that's where that we need to be awakened at the point we need to contemplate that mind as impermanent. And a lot of them, as you all know, believe in this one life theory. And that's where the issue is. So contemplate all things as being with ourselves. And this is what the Bodhisattva path is about. That the starting with ourselves, this self that we have, that only then when you unlock that contemplation, that you can enter the door of realization. Because with a self, the self will guard that door before the contemplative power can be released out. And that is subduing your ego. And before you say that, because ego has a huge identity about the self. So without realizing that, it's hard to go beyond a mundane contemplation, if you like. So we constantly engage in these four types of contemplation. And just as I explained earlier, this fourfold mindfulness teaches the four methods of contemplation and reflect upon ourselves. So contemplation of the body as impure, that when we die, our body rots and we emit a foul odor. But you know that there are also some very high practitioners You find that, I think you find that in some of the Theravada tradition, that when they practice quite highly, they actually, especially the masters, and highly so to the extent that the body, although the body obviously it decays, the thing is that it doesn't smell. And that is the purity that they practice until. They will put them into, I'm not sure whether you have been seen this before, but they put them into a big urn, like a gong, and then they cover it up with two. So two urns, one on top, one on the bottom. Put the body there, sitting in meditative mode. So if you visit some of these temples, you may be able to see the bodies actually in that particular form. But for us, obviously, we are all unclean, so we have a lot of impurities in us. So feelings of suffering. And these are all natural feelings when we live in the world. And this is very so relevant to us because we are not monastics and we're householders. So, and often we cannot get what we want, and that's what makes it very painful. And when things do not go away, and it could be at work. That's the reason why when we apply this in practice, do not think that it's only practice when we only listen to the master, or listen to us sharing, or we're doing Tzu Chi work. And this applies right throughout every moment of our time. The mind is impermanent. Why is impermanent? Because the thoughts arise, the abide, change, and it cease. And a thought even itself, even though when alive, the thought will dissipate at a point in time. So that's why when we contemplate, well, we sit down in stillness, a lot of thoughts will come to us. The thousands of thoughts will come to us during the day. And I shared with you a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago, about how many thoughts we get in a day. So, you know what, the thing is that when you know that the mind is impermanent, and so is the thought, and when you try to go into the moment of samadhi, if you do not put any energy to the particular thought, the thought will die. Okay. So the only problem is very often our mind, we're not in control. Our mind get engaged in the thought, and that's the reason why that we get so many thoughts, and some of these thoughts are very disturbing thoughts. So, for example, even forming aspiration, and I remember the 2 days ago on the recording that the first base of fulfilling power is the power aspiration, right? So even forming the aspiration is easy, but preserving them is hard. So because the minds cannot always abide in the same state, it changes. And why it changes because of the externality of the conditions that we face. And that's why maintaining the samadhi is actually of great effort, and it takes a lot of practice to do that. So due to the impermanent nature, our minds cannot abide peacefully at all times. So contemplating on things as beings with ourselves. As we all know, all things are impermanent. And confused that making impermanence for permanence or permanence in impermanence. So this is what the inverted view is that Master explained a couple of weeks ago. So we may not realize in the universe, and it is everything is impermanent. So we must clearly understand the three principles and the four states, right? The principles being the physics or the form of it. Two is the body, which is the physiology part of it. And the third principle is the principle of the mind. And the fourth state is arising, abiding, changing, and ceasing. And so we need to understand all these things that, therefore, without the self, the self doesn't exist. That applies even to us, and this is important to understand, because in the voice of the path, it's about losing yourself. It's attaining the non-self. Only then, when non-self is attained, we can realize the true self. So our mind in the path, the essence of wisdom is the nature of true suchness, and this is what the Buddha nature is. So which abides permanently, but so it does not arise or cease. It's always present, and that so therefore, if we try to understand that statement here, Master is trying to say, whilst all things are impermanent, the true suchness abides in permanence. So therefore, and so it's waiting for us. So we have not returned to essence or true suchness because we are still not enlightened yet. So that's why it takes a long time. And I will show you and share with you in a later about how long the Buddha took. So you must use the fourfold mindfulness and which teaches the four methods of contemplation for ourselves to practice, so that we can gain the wisdom. And that is the wisdom is the one who gives us the strength to walk on this smooth path that on this journey that we have. And this journey is one of immeasurable distance. So with Dharma in our hearts, and there is Dharma in our actions. And this is what we trying to cultivate, right? So we got to, so that we got the right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, and this is in the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path is also part of the 37 factors of enlightenment. So we need to be mindful so that we enable our minds to abide on the path, which is the Bodhi path that we are practicing right now. So indeed, in every one of us, the spiritual wealth is the seed. And so we have planted this seed. So like what Sister Stephanie is saying, you just have to make sure it's a good seed. We're going to nurture that seed. And although sometimes there's a lot of affliction in us, and in this path of contemplation and contemplation, and recognize that we are going on a path of to cultivate a pure heart and a clear mind. And this is so therefore the pure heart and clear mind when I'm able to give you the good seed, and then eventually then realize the true emptiness and wonder existence from the ocean of fruits. So in this particular verse here, that which is valuable is that which can meet all humanity's needs. This is like the fruition of the Buddhahood. The myriad practices we form are the causes, and the myriad virtues, this result, are the effects. So you got the myriad causes, these myriad causes, and the one that we walk on a virtuous path. Okay, so when we in that good practice, we get the myriad virtues. So this is a perfection of blessings and wisdom. So you remember that Master One, I think some time back also mentioned, this is part of gathering that blessings, a perfection of blessings. It's called a path of accumulation. And this is what we need to gather that so that we can step up in our practice in our future life. So we are able to engage in spiritual practice in this life because of our karmic conditions. And so we are in this condition where we are able to practice, and this is earned from the past life. So we also had this cause. So those causes led us to this effect in this lifetime that we have right now, to be born a human being and to be able to have the right karmic conditions to be in practice. So therefore, this is to bring our practice in this lifetime to fruition. But it's not just stop here, because what we have right now is only a very small step. So it takes many, many lifetimes. But the Buddha took 3 asamkhya kalpas. And one kalpa can also read billions of years. Asamkhya kalpa is infinite number of kalpas. So imagine the lifetime that we have to take in this is certainly it's a journey of immeasurable distance. So a seed containing an ocean of fruit takes lifetime after lifetime accumulating causes for learning and practice, and lifetime after lifetime accumulating the effects. So therefore, this is what the Master is trying to say, is what we are doing here in this various lifetime is cleansing our eighth consciousness, cleansing our karmic storehouse. So it's a spring cleaning. So our practice is nothing more than a spring cleaning of our eighth consciousness. Then, only then, when it's totally clean, we open the door to the ninth consciousness, which is the Buddha nature, or the pure nature of the consciousness. So the fruition of the Buddha has ripened. And but to go through this, we got to go to 10 grounds. All right, the Bodhisattva 10 grounds. Master said he already explained that She already explained that on the pen, on all those pen grounds, what they are. And path of accumulation is for us to even trying to get us to the first ground. Okay, it's a path of accumulation, doesn't even reach us to the, for your information, and doesn't even reach to the first ground. Okay, so you can imagine that this Bodhisattva path, it is whilst it was a wondrous path, it's a long journey. So this mindful practice reform other causes, and but to do this, because we are householders, and you know what, as our householders, and you can see so many human beings, and I think you have already seen humans, a lot of humans do not even have humanity in them. So one of the first things to do is to practice humanity, and that's why in Tzu Chi you got humanistic values that we try to teach children. So in this continuation here, this great elder had infinite wealth. All his storehouses were built and overflowing this Four Noble Truths, child links, causation, and actualizing the six perfection or six parameters. And so no phenomena exists outside the five skandhas in the 18 realms and so on. So we know that the Four Noble Truths is for Sravakas, or the hearers. Travelings is for the solitary realizers, or the Pachaka Buddhas. The six perfections is for those that know Bodhisattva path. So there's no phenomena exists outside of the five skandha, 18 realm, and so on. And these are the phenomena of all unconditioned Dharma and all conditioned Dharma. Because when we live on this life, inevitably we will get engaged in the five skandhas or the five aggregates. So that will exist. But so therefore we practice outside and mindful and the conditioned Dharma, but internally we practice and be aware of the unconditioned Dharma. So which is the, I was probably summarize this in the contemplation today on this. So the 18 realms that here refers to, actually all refer to the six consciousness. So we got the six roots, which is the six sensory organs, the six dusts, which is the discriminating past. You see, why I say six dusts? Because it's discriminating. It discriminates sight, it discriminates smell, it discriminates sound, taste, touch, and the state of mind. So that is the discriminative part of the arising from the six sensory organs. And that we link that to the six consciousnesses. So what are the lessons learned? Practice of the fourfold mindfulness, or the body has impure feelings of suffering, and mind as impermanent and beings with ourselves. So we all together, we have already 12 factors, right? The 12 factors 2 days ago, the four bases of fulfilling powers. Yesterday was 4 right efforts. Today is 4 for mindfulness. So you got 12 factors plus the 8 mobile eightfold path, which you already know. So it's 8 plus 12 is 20. So you already covered 20 out of the 37 factors of enlightenment. So you already know more than halfway of the journey. All Dharma is inseparable from daily living. So we have to then apply that. So even for us as the householders, even at work, as I said, that we have to apply this mindfulness, for mindfulness in our daily life, which I explained to you earlier. So we constantly practice all these fours, 3 of these fours. Okay, so we must clearly understand the 3 principles and the 4 states, so that we can develop the exquisite and wondrous wisdom, which is the essence of our true nature. So with our every thought, we must contemplate with wisdom and give out the strength of our hearts. So therefore, in our contemplation, that we practice with mindfulness outside in to strengthen your resolve to remain in equanimity of worldly noise. So practice outside in, that is the conditioned Dharma. And we got to be mindful that all these things which happen outside there and all this worldly noise that is happening, can you remain in the stillness and be equanimous to that, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, and so on. and grow with awareness from inside out, so that we can realize the silence in that noise. And here, there is, when you realize the silence of that noise, you're in the unconditioned Dharma. So on relationship, as a householder, you have to deal with relationships and a part of your practice. So whoever you meet, whoever come to your life, they are their spiritual benefactors. When you accommodate others without any self-cherishing thought, you rise above the flurry of emotions and can feel beyond the emotion. And that's what we want to be. And that is the stillness and the samadhi. That feeling is that of the great loving heart. Okay, with that note, thank you so much.
Gan En, so much, Brother Chin, for a solid sharing. Yeah. Okay, can we take a group photo? Everyone, please on your video, and then we can also hear a few words from Sister Tzu Chi. Morning, Tzu Chi.
Good morning.
Yeah, please on your video. Yeah.
Gan En, brothers and sisters, Gan En, Brother Robert, Gan En, everyone, for the very, very wonderful infinite wealth. Just like today, what we heard the Master mention about this elderly, explaining earlier the burning house, the card, then encouraging the children's coming out. Then now this elderly with the infinite wealth. This reminded me of Master also. She's giving us infinite wealth daily through the wisdom at dawn. I'm not sure yesterday how many followed the. I think there was this every Monday. There's this Tongren briefing, and then those who have this chance to log in, they would have heard Master. Actually, Master, we could not only yesterday, before this, during the 17, 18, the 18 closing, Master, we could feel Master deeply wishes to continue this, especially chapter 23. Belum lagi habis. If you are following the City of 10,000 Buddhas, it will be under the second part. Not even, I think maybe 50% of it. So Master, she asked the audience, the assembly, whether they could hear her. See, Master is trying her very best. And then yesterday, Master said there's still half a month. So she hopes she could finish the remaining chapter 23. So that's why everyone was so hopeful when they heard Master talking about this. Master said 很可惜 because since I'm not sure whether my record is correct. I think since 23rd August, Master last sermon on this chapter 23 until now, there have been so many wonderful happenings around the world. But because normally we know when Master expound the wisdom at dawn, Master will bring in the daily happening. So the loss of this, treasury, so-called Master, to her, she really treasured and she hoped to link it, that it somehow it will link to the sermon. So 我们祝福上人讲 we were able to share this great treasury with us. Indeed, from the daily happening, we could see how Master guided us. Like earlier, they explained the Papa Sui Zai, those disasters, and actually, like what the elderly, not only Tzu Chi rebuilt the homes, in 88 days, they also give, when people move in, it's also completed. They can, it's a moving in condition with the mattress, food, everything inside, 88样东西, everything inside. Also got the, I think, churches, community halls, everything. Malaysia, Angki River, even I think Malaysia, looking at it also, I think Jian Si Jian all are guiding us also to, when we give to people, give with strength, like K1K, not only giving the money, the aid, but also giving them the spiritual wealth. I think it's emulating this spirit of the elderly with infinite wealth, which is what we are also learning when we go, we have affinity to whoever, we try to emulate this infinite wealth by giving more. Another thing is this part, just now Sister Elizabeth, Xing Ya, I think, I'm not sure to newcomer in Shalom, it's history, because in the past we do have this Xing Ya. When we give cases, it's like, I remember our Hachi, we have 1,000 over cases. And when it's split to all of us, we do hundreds of what we will. So because of this, Sister Elizabeth, be assured, whatever, if you may find it difficult now, but this treasury, these experiences are my myriad practices, form causes, and myriad virtuous results from other results. Be assured, all these experiences are in future, it will transform into all these great affinity and virtues, and also you'll be able to do whatever. I'm also very grateful because in the past I joined this today. If we have a lot of mobilization, we will feel, compared to 以前, one day run is okay. This is really like a bit. So we are very grateful to all this today. Shalom. They have is transformed into another form. It's no longer a Xingya already. And Master, I'm not sure whether I heard this during on 18th yesterday, on this, you say causes conditions. Master mentioned often lay people, when something happen, we see suffering, and they will say, lay gods are high. 因缘果报 is like, they are past karma. But Master asks us, do we really understand what is this karma? See Master, her deep compassion and her wisdom, she looked at it as 3 periods, past, present, and future. So whatever suffering that we are seeing people, we don't simply stop at because they planted in the past. To us, Master is transforming us into the future. So if we have the affinity to plant good seed with this person, help this person, give this person a hand, even if we can't give them the money or what, at least we try to have give them encouragement. 这个就是 the real, I understand the real meaning behind this causes and effect, because it's ongoing, the periods past, present, future. So 它就是 continuous, and very grateful. And like Sister Stephanie, we never underestimate power of Jing Si, just like the Four Noble Truths. Maybe it's meant for some people may think it's beginner or like Four Noble Truths for the hearers, but those with great roots, even the Four Noble Truths of Jing Si, they can transform and they can really. 你看那个 teacher Anna, just the bamboo bag. Now she is the spreader of this Dharma. 你看她Bodhisattva, Mahasattva. So very grateful. So may each of us hope that each of us will be able to continue practices, myriads of practices, good practices, good seeds, planting the good seeds. And with that, we will transform and get the infinite virtues as the effect. How Gan? Back to you, Brother Robert.
Yeah, Gan En so much, Sister Tzu Chi. Yeah, can